Our next event is happening in Singapore between the 27th and 28th of February 2025. Now, Founders Longevity Forum Singapore is going to be a unique event brought to you by Founders Forum, the Academy for Healthy Longevity at the National University of Singapore, and of course, Longevity.Technology. Now, the event brings together global leaders in longevity around clinical activity, academics, investors, and the whole mission is to increase knowledge about the sector and to drive growth in that Asia-Pacific region, as well as for international guests too. Now, longevity clinics, neuroscience, and the longevity investing tracks are the key streams for our conference. So who better to speak to than someone who's very active in both of those domains? Now, Petr Šrámek is a key speaker at our event. He runs both LongevityTech.Fund and the Longevity Clinic Network, Healthy Longevity Clinic, and he joins us here today. So Petr, how are you?
Well, I'm great, and I'm particularly excited, to coming back to Singapore, after maybe 2 years when I was there, and what I see everywhere is really, this improving traction in longevity, and the general awareness is really flourishing. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. Well, we're looking forward to you joining us in Singapore too. And of course, the nation state itself is a real confluence of longevity investing and public engagement in longevity, which is great. So maybe let's just jump into the investment side of things. What do you feel are the longevity technologies that investors should be watching at the moment?
Right. So from our perspective, there is a very interesting progress in what we call advanced approaches or advanced therapies. There is a lot of stuff happening in more traditional spaces, which may be related to like a better wellness or longevity wellness lifestyle, and it's pretty well covered. And but what we need right now is to focus on more progressive, ways how to slow down aging or reverse or aging. And what I'm referring to are things like, we can apply to express healthspan. That's about the rejuvenation for 20 years. So this is the maybe the most important target right now.
Yeah, good. And in terms of the investment landscape, you've been in this industry for a while now, Petr. How have you seen it change over the last few years? Are things improving in terms of people understanding the subject better?
Well, there are multiple factors, and you've talked about that obviously several times. One factor is the general interest in terms of what actually is possible or would make sense. And that's definitely, it's still growing. I'm seeing like new people coming into the field, new investors or new groups interested to learn about the longevity and possibilities here. That's probably on like a daily business to talk with such people. But on the other side, the past 2 years were complicated in terms of actually deploying money, right? Because there were multiple reasons why the funds were not as much available, but it seems that it's changing, and I'm looking forward to see your latest update of longevity investing at the end of the 24.
Yeah, good. Well, I can tell you that things are improving. So, that's good to hear. But I guess there are a lot of startups out there. As you say, there are a lot of new market entrants too. So what do you think are the biggest challenges that are facing startups in securing funding in the space at the moment? Is it the fact that there's still a specialist group of investors that kind of are the hardcore, like LongevityTech.Fund, or do you feel that people are starting to understand it and those startups are going to get more capital as we go into 2025?
Right. So there is a huge gap of data understanding what's actually a good opportunity and what not. I mean, the investment opportunity, because generally, if there is a startup working on some technology closely related to general tech space, like doing some app or AI or something like that, that's maybe very close to these journalists or other type of investors. Regular business, so that's probably better and understandable. But in case of traditional biotech or biology approaches, that's really complicated. So there is just a few investors on the market, who actually can connect, longevity team and the scientific background in biology and biotech. More biotech, traditional biotech investors are not really ready to look at this longevity angle yet.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel that the advent of GLP-1 agonists and people really understanding the scale of what preventive therapeutics against aging diseases, obviously, which they are, do you feel that that's changing? I mean, do you feel that they're still running on parallel tracks, or do you see that maybe 2025 is the year when that starts to cross over more?
Well, I hope that I can understand GLP-1 success as a kind of a what is called interface moment in other industries, like AI exploded literally after everyone can touch it because of ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
The technology was here even before, like a couple of years before that, but nobody cares or nobody understands it. But GLP-1 inhibitors are a clear demonstration that there is a lot of things possible by specific therapeutic or compound in terms of improvement, not just in terms of treating diabetes or some other disease. So I hope that will serve the similar purpose, and especially it's not just touching the thing itself, but it's a business success behind, right? Because we have been talking in longevity community, right, about the that therapeutics, like a generally available therapeutics, can be like a tremendous business like never before. But it was really imaginary, right? Now we can see this first type of success is here.
So just jumping back into the work that, because of course you invest in biotechs as well as non-biotech assets in the space. Given the long-term nature of some of these therapeutics, what are the ways in which you measure the success of these investments? Do you draw a straight line between their trajectory and the portfolio focus of big pharma to think about their exit trajectory, or are you just thinking about how they're going to disrupt the market?
Right. So that's a good question, because regarding exits, we are still about to see how this will go fast. But I have a couple of hopes or maybe expectations, because what I hear is that even big pharma is definitely paying attention. There are initiatives like building entire new departments for longevity assets acquisitions. Within big pharma. Obviously, general investment or financial cycle seems to be favorable for new IPOs during the next 2-3 years. So that's another way of for exits. And the biotech company, longevity biotech company, the current exit is really more based on traditional big pharma type of thing, acquiring some therapeutics for specific disease or category disease. But I hope that it will change. There is the new wave or new wind coming from the U.S. administration. The expected administration, which is completely redesigned and much better. Seems to be much better understand the longevity potential and requirements.
Yes, I mean, it'd be interesting to see whether the new administration removes some of the guardrails around the space. But of course, there's a lot happening that we don't know yet until those policies are released. But of course, longevity clinics are a key part of the industry. We've done a lot of research into that space, as you know, and you've got Healthy Longevity Clinic as part of your investment portfolio, but also you're very active yourself. So when you look at a modern longevity clinic, how would you set them apart from a traditional healthcare provider?
Well, there are two part of this answers of to this question. One is more general, and that's probably very clear that the focus is much earlier than traditional healthcare, right? To prevent in terms of real prevention, not just early diagnostic. That's probably the major differentiator. So the traditional longevity clinic should take a medical look at individuals at their level of health and try to improve these biomarkers and health parameters. That's a clear distinction. But from our perspective of our clinic, we try to play a more active role in this industry. Basically, building a clinic to solve this. Maybe the previous question you had. How far we can translate some longevity therapeutics to the market. So that's what we do. We cooperate with our portfolio companies, and we are working on so-called human case studies, because one of the major problems I didn't mention before for longevity industry that we have plenty of cases of using therapeutics on animal models, worms, mouse, rats, everywhere. So we have seen a lot of these rejuvenated, but nobody cares from general public, because that's very clear. So our intention is to move this to humans as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is that we are already there. We are already working on first gene therapies. We have human case studies on gene therapies this year ongoing. We are planning to do a broader clinical trial in the Q2 of the next year, 25. So that's extremely important feedback for everyone, because we will be able to demonstrate real effects in humans,
right?
And that may even move the sentiment even more faster, to acceptance.
And do you see whether that's onshore or offshore? Do you feel that is really how longevity clinics are going to evolve over the next 5 to 10 years? That they'll be the first point of contact with these new therapeutics before they enter the main healthcare infrastructures of each country?
Well, I would expect that typically there will be a lot of offshore solutions before it can be available, like as a regular treatment in the US or Europe or Asian countries. But it will not be massive, right? Most people will not go offshore to do something. So our target or goal is definitely, to make it available onshore, first using clinical trials framework, and then as soon as possible, get some form of the approval, and make it available as soon as possible, because we are all, losing time. Time is ticking, and we need to do more than just lifestyle changes.
Yeah, I get that. So let's talk about running a longevity clinic, because you've been active in the space now. What are the main challenges of running a clinic, and how do you address them?
Right. Being a pioneer in the longevity clinic space is definitely a hard role of making this awareness and explanation that how this actually works. How is it different from traditional healthcare? And the main part here is, again, to build real human examples of people who actually went through the program, and they can demonstrate better health, better outcomes, or improvements of some aging biomarkers. So that's probably the way how every longevity clinic should go, or use it to demonstrate that it's real. It's not a snake oil, or it's not some businesses are really focused on just leverage some market potential and sell whatever sounds good, but I would strongly recommend really rely on things which can demonstrate results, not just the promises.
Of course, and I've had the pleasure of visiting your colleagues in Florida twice, and I personally have understood the benefit of visiting a clinic. But how do you measure the effectiveness? Because I guess what you want to do is you want to be in a position where you demonstrate to people that either they've got an issue and you'll be able to rewind that issue, which was the case with me. But likewise, if people are kind of healthy already, right, you need to prove to them that they need to stay around and manage the gift of good health for as long as possible. So is client retention one of those things that clinics need to really start getting their heads around how they deliver that?
Yeah. Oh, there are probably two, simply said, right? Two factors. One is to address some existing issues, which I don't mean like a traditional health issues like having some specific disease, but issues we find or we get after thorough examination. So the resolution of our diagnostics is much higher than traditional healthcare is using. So we can really see a lot of partial or from the traditional point of view, sub-significant, but from longevity perspective, very significant problems, which we can address and fix. It could be even some toxicity, or the even lowering the inflammation to below the traditional norm, right? Generally helps, or looking at the population of cells and many other things. Mitochondrial performance is one of the major issue we see, and that it's no way how we can address it in traditional healthcare settings. So this about fixing some issues, or let's say normalizing biomarkers to the younger level. But then we are also looking at let's say how to actually improve the performance, right? Because generally, if you're younger, you perform better, physically, mentally, or you look better, obviously. So that's the additional, the second direction that when we fix these issues, we can start focusing on improving performance. So that's, by the way, related to this, first gene therapy I mentioned in the previous answer. Is, by the way, it's based on Clotho. Clotho gene is it's a patented mRNA treatment, and this is where we actually see the performance improvement. It's not just improving the aging biomarkers, but you can see the transformation of fat to muscles. You can see even cognitive improvements and many VO2 max is going up. So all of these things are probably, or would be probably, the very significant for attention, as a priority for someone who feel is healthy. So it may be much more attractive for people.
Okay, well, I guess it's that fixation of improvement, right, that you're sort of backing into with people that are either healthy in the first place, or were ill, or had markers, and they could become healthier. But I guess a lot of this revolves around technology, and I guess you mentioned earlier AI is everywhere now. How do you see AI playing a role in clinics going forward?
Well, AI is, as you said, it's everywhere. So I cannot, imagine any step without using some level of AI. It's obviously any particular diagnostics is using AI for evaluation of the results and interpreting these results. But we are internally using AI for how to actually put all of these things together, because this is like imagine that you have 50 plus tests per individual, and so there is no human capable to put all of these things together. Obviously, there is always a human, to think this through about this, evaluation or aggregation, and set some strategies. But AI is definitely a necessary tool to move forward, and use this high resolution diagnostics method.
Mm-hmm. And do you see that AI, when it gets through the approval process, is going to speed up the throughput of clients through the clinical team? I mean, obviously, decision support tools, that type of thing. I mean, obviously, we're seeing the early stages of that now in the industry. So do you feel that that's going to be helping clinicians too?
Yeah, absolutely. We are, all clinicians are using AI, on like on a personal basis, to discuss specific questions, or deep dive into some specific area. So instead of spending time of looking at a bunch of papers or seeking some specific information. They just use AI, and it saves a lot of time. So that's the one side. The other side is obviously that we can, to some extent, release their capacity from answering, let's say, the simple questions, the basic guidance of a client, what to do, what to eat, what is the right amount of something needed. So all of that can be really supported by AI. So again, we'll save the time of the best people, and they can look into more important topics.
Yeah, great. Well, obviously, Petr, this is just a taster of what we'll be discussing when we're together in Singapore. So thanks for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you in February.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Goodbye.